My, what a peculiar place to have a party. You know, Dino, we really shouldn't be doing this. After all, curiosity often leads to trouble. Goodbye, Dino. Goodbye.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our very first episode of our all-new podcast called Down the Rabbit Hole. This is a special podcast that, in the future, will be exclusive to our Patreon subscribers at the $10 level or greater, which is unselfish. We have three categories. We have brave at the $1 level, truthful at the $5 level, and if you subscribe at the $10 level, which is unselfish, then you will receive this podcast once a month. And this is just going to be sort of a round table discussion with me and Ruthie, and we may have an occasional guest, and we're just going to go off on a tangent and talk about any topic related to Disney, past, present, or future. How you doing, Ruthie?
I'm doing great, Chris. I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun.
Right, so this is completely unplanned, unrehearsed, unscripted. It's just a conversation. And Ruthie and I came up with this idea quite a while ago. And originally, we incorporated a segment in our live podcast on YouTube called Down the Rabbit Hole. But it sort of evolved into something we didn't originally intend for it to be. Originally, we wanted it to be sort of a discussion, just a free-form discussion about Disney without any rhyme or reason to it. Hence the name Down the Rabbit Hole. Because whenever we're done recording, and sometimes before we start recording our podcast, me and Ruthie just would get into these crazy discussions about Disney, and we'd say, we should be recording this. And it sort of all evolved out of that. And so we decided it might be fun to make this a special reward for our Patreon subscribers. Now, our first episode we're releasing for everybody, so you can get an idea of what the future episodes are going to be like, and then you might want to consider becoming a $10 a month subscriber based on the show, hopefully. And then so this one-time episode is going to be available for everybody, but starting in July, our July episode will be exclusive for people who contribute at the $10 level on Patreon or on PayPal, because you can do a monthly subscription on PayPal as well. And if you do, you will also be included in this. So anybody, no matter what forum you use that contributes $10 a month or more, will be eligible for the show. So, Ruthie, what are we going to talk about this week?
The news of the day, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, so we just thought we'd talk about, Ruthie and I have obviously not been there yet. I mean, I live in Rhode Island, she lives in Virginia, so we haven't made it out to California yet, but we've seen a lot of videos, and we've read a lot of articles and seen a lot of pictures since the new land is open. So we thought we would share our first impressions with everybody and sort of go over the new attractions and everything, and just our commentary on, our opinions, our takeaways and everything. So Ruthie, what are your initial thoughts about the new land? Were you disappointed, or did you expect more? Did you expect less? Were you wowed?
Well, I know I cannot get the real feeling without actually physically being there, but as much of a feeling that I can get for the land, watching videos and seeing pictures and listening to people talk about it, I think it seems like it's amazing, over the top, so much detail. Like Disney really I feel they went above and beyond. And I think that this is really doing the Star Wars name, the Star Wars, lands and the things that people had in their minds. I think it really is doing it justice. What do you think?
Yeah, I was impressed. I couldn't really grasp it in my mind until I saw it.
Yeah.
From ground level, the real, like all the pictures we've seen, all the, models and illustrations and concept art and still photographs. I couldn't grasp it in my mind until I saw actual video of the completed land taken at ground level, walking through the land. And then I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I know where they're going with this. I was really impressed with the look of the marketplace, especially. That stands out to me. Like, I really liked how that came out and how that looked. And it has all the features and functions of a Disney park. It has stairways with railings and light posts and things, and once you see those things, you really understand, okay, this is in Disneyland. Like, when you don't see in your mind all the little, the drinking fountains and the the little things that you would see in a Disneyland land, you don't really complete it in your mind. So I think it's really good. I wish it wasn't where it is, but for what it is, I'm okay with it. Yeah. One thing I'm not crazy about, and tell me how you feel, the fact that you can see part of the buildings from the Rivers of America. I think they should have done a much better job of hiding. Like, the mountains are okay because they blend in with the scenery of the Rivers of America. They just look like regular mountains. They don't specifically look like mountains from a planet far away. They just look like regular rocky cliffs. So those blend in fine. But you can see some of the buildings, like and with antennas and kind of like Star Wars looking buildings. You can see them through the trees when you're going by on the Mark Twain. And I don't like that at all. I think they should have done a much better job of hiding everything so you can only see it from inside the land. I really don't want to see a space world from the Mark Twain Steamboat. Thank you very much. That's upsetting to me. It completely takes you out of... I mean, you remember riding down that part of the river where you felt like you were in another world. You didn't feel like you were in the middle of a busy city in Southern California. You were completely... When you went through that, they called it the backwoods territory, remember? You were completely immersed. You felt like you were really in the backwoods in a far-off frontier. Now when you see these buildings and things behind the trees, I'm a little... Hopefully those trees will grow over time and hide more, but I know that bothers me a lot.
Yeah, I didn't actually see any video of that, like somebody actually videoing from the Mark Twain towards Galaxy's Edge since it's been open.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure how much you actually see when you're on there, but I can totally understand how you feel, because you're right. These worlds do not blend together, and so you shouldn't be able to see anything. Yeah. I've heard that in when you're actually in Galaxy's Edge, you can see like the top of Thunder Mountain, but that's okay because it's similar to the tops of Galaxy's Edge. And I did see somebody was like, "Oh, I can see the Matterhorn," but I couldn't actually see it when they said that in their video. So it was not very obvious.
Yeah, I think I saw that video too, and I didn't see... It must have been the same one, because I didn't see it either when they said that they saw it.
Yeah.
But, so... The other thing that I sort of am not too happy about... We'll do the negatives first, then we'll end with the positives. How's that?
Sure.
We'll end on a positive note. So the first negative was was the Rivers of America vantage point. The second negative is the lack of atmosphere music. There was an article on Mice Chat that talked all about that, and they went into detail about how disappointing that is and how it really is a shame, and it takes away from the whole world building and everything, because they're trying to be too realistic. And I mean, there's no reason to overdo the realism. We're in a make-believe space town on a distant planet. I mean, we know this is not real. Don't try to make it seem real. You're in a Disney theme park, and when you watch the movies, they have music. So why wouldn't you want music? And like, when you walk in and you see the Millennium Falcon in the distance, you want to hear like dramatic music. It just would add so much to that. The only place you can really hear any music in the outdoor part of the land, I guess, is in the marketplace, but they play sort of like, I don't know, like, what would you call it, like Arabian, like kind of sounds like a live sort of primitive sounding band, like playing folk music or whatever, you know what I mean? It's got sort of like an Arabian marketplace type sound to it, like a Middle Eastern almost. But it just sounds like, you know, it's not a full orchestra. It just sounds like a small live band, even though it is recorded music. It just sounds like music you would hear in a little marketplace. And that's fine for that part of the land, but I think in other parts of the land they should be playing. I mean, they play a ton of sound effects. You hear like spaceships roaring overhead, and but they don't, and they play like weird animal noises because you're going through like these mysterious forest like areas on a different planet, so you hear all sorts of weird animal noises, but you don't hear music until you get to that marketplace. And inside some of the attraction, well, in the Smuggler's Run attraction, you don't hear music until I think you are in the actual attraction, like riding on the ride. And you do hear music inside the cantina,
right?
Rex playing the music. But yeah, so that's
so. Did they address in that article the fact that maybe there was just so many people that they couldn't hear it? Maybe it was just turned down too low? No, there's no music at all. Because there is tons of people and tons of talking. Every video that I've seen, it's just, if there was music, I don't think I would hear it because there's so many people there. I mean, I watched a video where there was nobody in there, and they were actually filming it before it opened, and there was nobody there, and that is when I heard the sound effects and things like that. But I didn't hear it on anybody else's video. No, there's no music. I mean, that's a confirmed thing. I mean, they wrote a whole article about it on Mice Chat, so it's like, it's not that we can't hear it, it's that there isn't any. And I've seen some videos that it's not as crowded, where they're like, I don't see that many people around. So, I mean, because of the reservation system, it hasn't been crazy busy. Yeah. But, right, not to the level that it could be if it was open to the public, but yeah. Right. There's still tons of people there. The other thing is that Disneyland itself has been dead. Like, because if you don't have a reservation for Star Wars Land, nobody's showing up right now. I know, that's crazy. The whole park is like completely empty except for Star Wars. Yeah, I heard it was like walk on Indiana Jones and stuff like that, and that never happens unless you have a fast pass. So right now, before the reservations end on June 23rd, might be a good time to go to the park if you haven't been in a while. Yeah. If you can deal with not seeing Galaxy's Edge, you'll get to see the whole rest of the park. And I mean, everything's open right now. They finished all of the refurbishments and everything. I don't think there's any attractions in Disneyland that are down right now. You've got the whole park and no lines, so it'd be a wonderful time to go. Yeah, even on a Saturday. Yeah. They said that it was dead. Yeah.
Somebody said that they haven't seen it like this since like the 90s.
That's crazy.
I would love it. I would love
I know.
that. I don't need to see Galaxy's Edge right away. I can, I'd be happy.
You could wait. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Can you think of any more negatives? Because I have a bunch of positives for sure. Those are really my only two big critiques.
I actually didn't I just don't feel like I really experienced it enough to have negatives. For me to have a negative, I need to have my own personal experience. So
you'll be going in August.
Yeah. So that's my plan. I'm really hoping that Rise of the Resistance is open then, so I can actually go on that as well. But yeah. So I don't really have anything negative to say from people's videos.
So one thing, when you go to Disneyland, this would be a good forum to do the trip report on. So we can use Down the Rabbit Hole to do Ruthie's Disneyland trip report.
Yeah.
Probably for the September episode. So can look forward to that. So let's go through some of the things that are in the land and what your initial impressions are. Now that we've sort of seen things a little bit better, even though we haven't been there in person, we can sort of get the general idea of everything by the videos we've seen. So let's save the big one for last. We'll talk about Millennium Falcon at the end. Okay. But let's talk about first the restaurants, the dining. So, what did you think of the milk, the blue and the green milk? So
I've heard people say the blue was better than the green. It doesn't matter to me because, I want to try both of them. Because as much as I hear people's opinions, I need to form my own. So I definitely will be trying both of them. And I'm glad that this is a non-dairy beverage because a glass of milk to me just does not sound refreshing. No.
Well, not only does it not sound refreshing to me, I might have a problem.
Right. So I'm definitely glad that this is, coconut milk and rice milk mix with some, flavoring and different,
a lot of people said
flavors too.
A lot of people I heard say that the coconut is very predominant, at least in the blue. I can really taste coconut in it.
Yeah, that's fine. So,
I mean, I don't mind that. I don't like, I like coconut beverages, but I do not like coconut, candies and stuff like that. I'm not a coconut fan. But
I also
a pina colada I can deal with.
Yeah. I also heard the milk comes in two forms. So it's like a normal drink and then also like an iced drink as well. So, I mean, actually, the iced drink sounds kind of even better to me.
Yeah, I would go for the iced. I'm not keen on drinking like a milky thing that is not iced in the middle of the summer.
So, I mean, it's not warm, but what I'm saying is kind of like it's like a.
But I wouldn't drink a glass.
Beverage
I wouldn't
versus
drink
maybe like a icy beverage.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
You know what I mean? Like a slush.
Yeah, a slush. But I wouldn't drink like a milk. Something that's the consistency of milk in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
But I would
outside
drink,
in the heat.
Yeah, that's not appealing to me at all.
Yeah. No, definitely not. So, yeah, but I mean, I'm glad they offer this. It would not be a Star Wars land at all without that. So, they definitely have to have this, and I definitely want to try it.
Nearby, there's a restroom where they have these drinking fountains, and there's like a tank. And when you look in the tank, when you're at the drinking fountain, you see that monster. Did you see video of that yet?
I did. I think that looks really cool.
And the other thing I noticed about the drinking fountains is they have a place where you can put your water bottle and refill your water bottle. I thought that was great. They need to have those everywhere.
I know, they do. That is great.
Yeah. So the next, we're looking at the directory that's on the official Disneyland map here. So Ruthie, you and I go backwards from bottom to top.
Okay.
How's that? So the next one is Oga's Cantina. So everyone I've heard on any podcast or YouTube video has ranted and raved about how impressed they are about this. And from what I've seen, it looks really well done. And I'm pretty impressed with it. The one thing I wish... I mean, I'm okay with what they did, but wouldn't it have been even cooler if they had a full audio animatronic band of aliens playing music as if it's live music, like in the movie? You know, because it's not just a DJ in the movie. They have a whole band playing live music. I would have liked to have seen, as much as I love Rex being there, I would have much preferred to have a full band of audio animatronic creatures playing the music, but I guess they had to draw
the one thing that's
somewhere.
coming to my mind when you say that is Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I was thinking of
so
like
a
how
stage with like these creatures, and it would be just like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, and I was thinking of when I worked at a local haunted house. They had like this like really cheesy skeleton band. Like they would just like, they had like 5 different, like they'd move their head back and forth and just like strum it. They hardly moved at all. It was not Disney caliber, but it was like, I was thinking of that in my head when I just said that.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe they might do something like that, but I mean, I'm glad that what they have there.
I don't think they're going to do it. I just wish they would have done it. I think it's a done deal. But I really haven't been able to hear much of Rex's music. In any of the videos, I can't really... I guess they don't want to get copyright claimed or anything, so they don't really play much of it on the videos. You hear a little bit here and there, but not enough to really get it.
I did hear where he actually was playing the Cantina song.
Yeah, I heard that too, and it's kind of like a techno version of it. It's got kind of like a techno beat to it. But at first I was like, is that really Paul Rubens? Because it sounded a little different. But I guess it really is him. Yeah. And I saw a video where he was there on opening day.
Oh, that's cool.
He was experiencing it. Yeah, so I'm glad
that him. Yeah, I saw a clip of Rex where he actually was like, I meant to do that, and I was like, yes, Pee-wee!
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's technically not the same droid, because they gave him a different name.
Yeah, and he's been reprogrammed, quote unquote.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was impressive. What's weird is that a lot of people have early morning and before noon reservations. Yeah. And in order to get into the cantina, there's a 1 drink minimum. So they force you to have alcohol before noon to go in there. It's like...
Well, they have non-alcoholic drinks.
I guess they... yeah, I guess you're right, but...
I mean, if you want to drink, probably you're on vacation. So.
I don't drink, so I would definitely get a non-alcoholic beverage, because I'd still want to go in there and see it.
Oh, definitely. And you definitely want to try
and you have to buy drinks. At least there's a 1 drink minimum and a 2 drink maximum. I guess if it's a non-alcoholic drink, you can have more than 2, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I heard too that they're only letting people stay in there for 45 minutes.
Yeah. I wonder how that's going to work out when it's no longer a reservation system, because it's going to be insane. Like right now, they can sort of monitor how many people are in the land, but when anybody can get into the land...
I think it's going to be... Well, this is what to my understanding is, I think it's probably going to stay a reservation, and you're not going to be able to make a reservation to go into the cantina unless you're in Galaxy's Edge. So it doesn't matter if you're in Disneyland, you have to be in Galaxy's Edge.
So you'll be able to do a virtual queue for it then, right?
Yeah, on the app. Yeah. Which is what people are doing now, because from what I heard, the first couple of days they had a line, and basically they had to cut the line off because people were staying in there for 45 minutes, and so they couldn't really monitor everybody, and there was just this line there the whole day.
Yeah.
So now they're doing the, online queue, or really the app. You get in the
Right.
queue that way, and then they'll just, buzz you.
Yeah,
when
they're
it's ready.
sort of using this period as a learning period, and I guess that's one of the lessons they've already taken away is they have to do an app option for the cantina, because otherwise there's going to be a line all around the whole
Blocking
area.
people from getting through
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which is
Right.
what they are trying to avoid beyond all
Exactly.
costs, basically.
Yeah.
No, I think this cantina looks amazing, and I literally just want to stand in front of Rex and just watch him. Like, I love the way the cantina looks, but I'm like mesmerized by Rex.
His show is, I guess, over 2 hours long, so you won't even get to see the whole
I know, that's true.
show. You have to go more than once and
Multiple times.
You hope to get in like at a different interval than where you,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the same one I heard the last time. I wanted to hear a different part of it, but
Yeah.
I hope they release the music.
Oh, yeah. They have to. I really
So-
hope they do.
So the next thing is the Docking Bay 7, which is Food and Cargo, which is sort of the biggest eating establishment. It's a fast food. Well, it's not really fast food. It's counter service, but it's not your typical. They've got substantial food. They don't have like just hamburgers and French fries. They've got meals, like healthy
Yeah.
meals.
Yeah.
Like with a vegetable and a side. Not standard theme park McDonald's type food.
Right.
And I saw a couple videos of people trying the food, and the general takeaway is that the food is very, very good.
Yeah.
And they have a meatloaf that's a vegetarian meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are vegetarians that have tried it say that it tastes just like real meat.
Huh.
But people that are not vegetarians say that it's a little bland for their liking. So
Okay.
if you're a vegetarian, you're going to love that one. But if you're not, you probably should get something else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's kind of my takeaway. And everything is a themed thing. I mean, they make it look like it's exotic or from another planet, even though it's just regular food. There's nothing crazy about what you're eating. They decorate it to look spacey or whatever,
Yeah.
which is fun. So that it's all themed to the land.
Yeah.
And the restaurant pretty much looks like a place where they just keep old spaceships and things, and there's eye candy everywhere to look
Mhm.
at. I mean, like, some of the tables look like wings of old aircraft, and looks like they just sort of pieced it all together out of used parts and everything, and it looks a lot of fun. And I noticed that when you're eating in there, you hear overhead spaceships flying by the whole time. There's no music again, but you hear spaceships and aircraft zooming around while you're eating.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I've heard that the food was good too. I didn't hear too much about this particular restaurant. I was listening to another podcast, and the people they're vegetarian, so they tried the vegetarian options. There's also like a quote unquote meatball dish with the same plant-based meat.
Yeah.
And they said they liked it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure
if I went here, I wouldn't be getting that.
I'm sure if your body and your taste buds have adapted to not having real meat, you probably would enjoy it. But if you're accustomed to real meat, you probably wouldn't like it as much.
Yeah.
So Ronto Roasters looks really fun. I didn't know exactly how it was going to look, but they have like this robot that's churning the what do you call that? What do you call that when you have meat on a stick and it turns around?
All I can think of is like the spit, like the barbecue spit.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. They have an old jet engine hanging from the ceiling, and it's blowing.
It's actually an engine from a pod racer.
Right, and it's blowing heat on it, and then there's a robot there, and his eyes light up, and he looks at you and says things, and kind of interacts with you while you're standing there. It looks like a lot of fun. I love that kind of theming, that those extra things that, you know. Speaking of extra things, that antiquities store, what's it called again? It's not on
Doc Ondar's.
Yeah, it's not on our little
Den of
list
Antiquities.
Right. Yeah. So Doc Ondar is there, and he looks amazing.
Oh my gosh,
and
he
creepy.
Looks so awesome.
So he's sort of behind like a cage, and he's sort of like the proprietor, and I guess he's going through his books, and he talks, and what's weird, and I didn't realize this, but I guess now that I see it, I remember it from the movie too, his mouth is on the side of his head.
Yeah.
Not the front, and it's really bizarre looking and creepy.
It is. And the lips move on this audio animatronic.
And it looks like real lips. Like, I don't know how they did that. It looks like real lips moving. Yeah. And that's what makes it so creepy. He looks real.
Right.
And he's speaking some strange language. And I had that action figure.
Oh, that's
when
cool.
I was a kid. They called him Hammerhead. That's kind of his nickname, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, so I remember that character specifically from the movie because I had the little action figure of him.
Yeah.
Then they have the droid depot where you can build your own droid, which looks like a lot of fun. And there's a real R2-D2 in there that you can buy, and it's like $25,000. But it talks, it moves, it acts like the real R2-D2. It's like a real thing.
The same size too.
It's like owning an authentic R2-D2. Yeah. So if you have $25,000 and you're a Star Wars fan, you might consider that for Christmas.
No, but this looks fun because like the parts are on a conveyor belt.
Yeah,
and they're kind of going around, and you can just pick from the ones you see that you like.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Star Tours original queue because they had those baskets that moved around. Yep. They sort of brought that back for this. And then they have that really cool conveyor belt, and you can just pick your parts right off of it, and they just have all sorts of fun stuff going around, and you just pick from it. Yeah. Like it's a candy factory.
Somebody I saw on one of the videos bought a DJ Rex robot that apparently is like a Bluetooth speaker, and it's already put together. But
yeah, some of them are already put together.
Totally want that.
You can also buy the little creature that was in that scene from the Jabba the Hutt scene. It's that little dragon-looking character.
They're calling it. But it was the one that laughed all the time.
And it has like a little pump, and when you pump it, it makes it move around, and you can't see it. It's like kind of concealed, so it looks like you rest it on your shoulder, and it's like they have the same thing in Avatar Land. They have like a little dragon you can buy. But this is a character from the Star Wars universe instead. And that looks really cute.
Yeah, it does look cute.
So the next thing we should mention is the lightsaber shop. Yeah, so you go in. I saw a whole video of the whole... Yeah. Did you watch a thing?
I did. I watched a couple of videos.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, before you even go in, so outside, this is called Savvy's Workshop, and there's a whole story around this is really just a scrap metal workshop.
Yeah, it's an underground operation.
Right. So they don't let you talk about lightsabers or anything outside of this. And there's first order people, what do you call them? In the white?
The stormtroopers.
Yes, the first order stormtroopers.
Ruthie and I are showing our age here because we can't remember anything anymore.
Right. So they're walking around and they're like hushing you. Don't let they cannot let you hear, the stormtroopers cannot hear you talking about this, or you're going to get in trouble and things like that. And so they're really secretive about this place.
And they show like the guy when the stormtroopers have their back or they're further away, they'll show you some of the things outside. They have them sort of hidden in a drawer, and they'll pull it out and say, here are some of the options you have, but don't say anything. They keep it like it's a whole secret operation that they have to keep under wraps because they don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
So then when you get inside, what happens?
So then there's like this table, like this oval shaped table.
Yeah, it's huge. I guess probably about how many people? 25 people?
No, it's not even that much. I heard it was only 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they play this dramatic music. This is one of the places where they actually play music.
Yeah.
And
exactly. And it's like time to what the host is saying.
Yeah, there's a live host who's delivering a whole spiel and like making it all romanticized about how this piece of hardware has a whole legacy behind it, and it's a special thing. And
oh, I thought that was so cool because it really just brings you in, and it really makes
John
you feel
Williams,
like you're in Star Wars.
And that's where there's two places I noticed where they play that new John Williams music. This is one of them. You hear that theme from the music they released online.
Yeah.
You hear that. And then after he's done giving sort of the introduction, they have several workers, like there's probably 4 of them total, and they pull out these trays and put them on the table in front of you. And you have different options so you're actually building your own lightsaber, and you get to choose which things you want. They talk about the crystal that goes inside that determines the color, and you get to pick your color, and you get to pick like different parts and put them together, and they screw together, and if you have trouble, they walk around and make sure that you're figuring out everything okay. I know I would be so confused. I would need a lot of help. And then you get the voice of Yoda. And that's where, how they said there was going to be a surprise with Yoda?
Yeah.
Well, you don't get to see the physical Yoda, but you get to hear his voice.
And it is Frank Oz.
It's Frank Oz.
Yeah. And so after you're done building your lightsaber, everybody stands around. Like, so the person, they ask you to step away from the table, and then the workers come around and take the handle that you built and kind of twist it into this opening on the table.
Yeah.
And they do that all around the table, and then once everybody's is done, they ask you to step up, and they do this little ceremony, and it is very emotional.
Yeah, and you pull out the thing, and that's
and you raise up your lightsaber, and oh my gosh,
it's when the stick is put on.
Yeah.
So they make it look like it's not a piece of, because in a real lightsaber is not a piece of glass, that it's an actual laser that's making that line, but they can't do that in real life. So they try to make it so that it's not as obvious that it's not a real lightsaber by putting in that little thing and then pulling it out, which I thought was a really clever way to do that.
Yeah.
And I guess that stick is made out of glass.
Yeah, and I know like the handle is made out of like really sturdy metal. I heard that
really
they're very
solid metal. Like
yeah.
It feels like a real substantial thing. It's not some cheapy plastic thing you buy at Kmart at all. And it better not be, because how much are they, Ruthie?
They're actually, with tax, I heard they're like $215 with no
and
discounts.
I mean, like, I feel that's what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you have to really want that to spend that money. But if is something you want, then I think that's not an unreasonable price for what you're getting. It's a real well-crafted conversation piece. It's not some
Right.
cheapy thing. I think, in fact, I'm sort of impressed that it's only 200 because I feel like it's really it's really impressive. I mean, it's definitely you're getting a reasonable price for what you're getting.
Yeah.
If that's, I mean, I wouldn't. The thing is, I would want to be able to experience that without having to buy one. I mean, is there a way you can go in and just watch other people?
So somebody who is gonna build their own lightsaber can bring one other person in with them.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you're?
I don't think they'll let you in unless you're somebody's guest.
Well, that sort of stinks because
I
I
know.
won't get to see it. And the other thing is, you only get it. The only way you get to see it a second time is if you buy another one.
Right. Right.
So it's like an attraction that you can only experience for $200. I mean, you're bringing something
away from that experience, yeah.
But to me, it seemed like a show. I mean, it seemed like something I would want to be able to see as a show.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean...
Yeah, so I was thinking about this. So one thing that I heard about this is they only have one room. So this show or this experience takes about 20 minutes. So these 15 people in this one room, 20 minutes. And then they can just let another 15 people in. And why didn't they build more rooms? Come on. This is like, not only is it a money maker, but this is it's a huge experience that people want to have.
Well, first of all...
that is one thing that I think of as kind of like, I guess, a negative.
Well, I think that once the novelty wears off and once everybody who really wants one buys one, I feel like this is gonna sort of not be as popular.
That may be, but still, I mean,
$200.
I don't know when that's
I mean,
gonna
you can
happen.
really, you can only do it once because unless you want to buy 12 $200 lightsabers, I mean, I guess it's gonna become an eBay thing, though. People are gonna go and buy it and then sell them on eBay like crazy, I bet.
For $400?
Yeah, they're gonna bump up the price. Yeah, of course.
But I do like your idea. Like, they should be able to have some sort of like a viewing area.
Yeah, a viewing area in the back where you can just like an area that surrounds it, where you're not in the actual bed of where the table is, but you're like behind, maybe on a raised platform behind some sort of a cage or something where you can just watch from as an audience.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's something I would want to see, but I can't afford to buy, and I don't want to. How am I going to get that on the airplane home?
I didn't read the article, but I saw somebody actually write an article about how to take that on the airplane.
So the other thing is that they don't let you carry it around the park. They give you a bag to put it in, and you have to keep it in. And I noticed that if you take it out, the stormtroopers will yell at you.
Yeah.
Tell you to
because
put it
again,
back
it's
in.
supposed to be like secretive.
Yeah, but the actual thing is they don't want you carrying what looks like a weapon around the park. I mean, they stopped selling anything that resembles a weapon, even if it's a toy in the park, and now they're selling this, so I guess they want you to not be walking around with it, you know.
Right.
So anyway, the final thing we should mention is the new attraction, and there's going to be a second one which hasn't yet opened.
Right.
And I hope it'll be open by the time you get to go, Ruthie.
I hope so too. Oh, fingers crossed.
But
they say later this year, but that
could be December 29th.
I know, exactly.
So the one that is open is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And this is the one where you get to ride in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. So I was really impressed with the queue, how it wraps around the ship, and you get to see the ship from all different angles. And then there's one point in the queue where you're sort of on the second level looking outside behind glass, and you get to see the top. So they really give you the opportunity to really get a good look from all angles because that was one thing I was thinking is like it's sort of hard to see it from outside when you're standing parallel to it.
Yeah.
But you really, if you get in the line, you get to see a really good vantage point from all angles of it. So that was impressive.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that was really impressive is the audio animatronic.
Yeah. Ando Onaka.
Yeah. I mean, we already knew that was going to be. We sort of had a lot of spoilers on that one.
Yeah, but I thought it was kind of cool. So in the queue, where you actually encounter him is like an area where they've already started to separate you from the main queue. So I like that because it's a little bit more intimate, you know?
Yeah, so then they let you into like the sort of the den area, like the recreational area where the chessboard and everything is. And then,
like you're inside
and
the Millennium Falcon.
They give you a ticket like they do on the Dumbo at Walt Disney World. They give you like they hand out 6 tickets that are like in one ship. 2 of them are the captain, 2 of them are whatever the middle.
It's pilot, gunner, and engineer.
Right. So they have 2 of each. There's only 6 seats in the ship. So there's 2 of each in each row, and they hand out 6 of them, and then when it's your turn, they call you, and it depends on what it says on your pass. That's how they sort of do Dumbo in Florida. When you're waiting in the little play area, they hand you a circus ticket, and they'll say, "We're now taking the red tickets," and everybody who has a red ticket, it's their turn to ride. And so in the meantime, you just sort of wait around in this fun holding area that looks like the inside of the Millennium Falcon. But the thing I couldn't quite understand is how many simulators are there? Did you get a grasp of that?
No, I don't know exactly.
How do they divide you exactly, and how many simulators are? I can't really get the logistics of it from the videos I've seen.
Yeah, because a lot of times they're not filming that part. They start filming again when they're already in there.
Maybe it's not obvious even when you're experiencing it.
Not like
I mean,
Star Tours,
can't just
where you can see everybody's lined up for 4.
Yeah. They can't just have 6 people at a time riding it. They've got to have multiple.
No, they definitely have to have multiple.
And they've got to have like many of them.
Yeah, and they're timed so that they start at different times so that they can just constantly be refilling them.
Yeah, so I don't know. Are they on some sort of a moving carousel and they line up with the doorways that let you in? I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
That is a secret Disney has not let out. So once you get in the cockpit, it pretty much looks like a much more intimate version and realistic version of Star Tours.
Yeah.
And it's sort of all around you because the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon has that glass ceiling on it, you know? So you see it from all angles. And I guess depending on where you sit, you have different functions that you do, and I think that every time you ride it, depending on how the passengers interact, will change what the ride does each time. So you never will get the same exact experience, as far as I can tell. I mean, they're not giving away too much about it, and people haven't been on it enough multiple times to really explain that, because of how they only let you ride it one time when you go into the land. Because they actually, I've noticed, you have a wristband,
and they mark it,
and you on the wristband you only have one time you're allowed to ride, and when you take your turn to ride it, they mark it off, and then you can't ride it again. You only get to ride it one time in your little 4-hour window. So nobody has. I don't know if people have more than one reservation, and if they do.
They do. The YouTube people definitely do.
But I mean, the majority of people do not. So most people are only getting to see it once. So it's hard to explain it's hard to conceive how it's different each time when you've only ridden it one time.
Right, exactly. And then
So-
it really is kind of like up to who else is in your party, if
Yeah.
they push their buttons right or not. I've also heard you can put it on autopilot if you don't want to be interacting with buttons and doing things when he's, when Hondo is like narrating for you to do it.
Yeah, and what if people go on it that don't speak English and they won't understand what's going on?
Hopefully, yeah.
Like that,
Then
will
they
that
should go on
ruin?
autopilot.
Will
But what
that
I've heard
ruin the
too-
experience?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I've heard too is that it's when it's your turn to actually interact with the buttons and things, you aren't able to pay attention to the attraction and what's going on because you have to look down and do whatever it is that you're responsible for doing. So it kind of like you aren't really
Enjoying
able to pay
the-
attention as much.
Yeah. And I'm not really sure about the what's the word I'm looking for? How rough of a ride it is. I haven't.
Oh.
Nobody's really explained how. Is it like
What?
scary?
I think I've heard multiple things. So I heard somebody who said they don't like Star Tours, but they can do this. And
So it's
then
not as rough as
I've
Star
also
Tours.
heard that it's rougher depending on who is in your car and whether they push
And
the
what
buttons on
buttons.
time and things like that.
Oh.
So, and like your pilot, if they want to be crazy and fling the thing back and forth, they could actually make your ride rougher.
Wow.
That's what I heard.
So if you have some nut case in the front
Yeah.
seat, you'll be like.
So if you really want to
in
have a good
tears
ride,
when
you
you
gotta
get
have,
off.
Yeah, you gotta have 6 people that you all go into the same car. You all have like the same agenda, and you all want to win.
Yeah.
Because you do get credits for how well you
Yeah.
do in this ride.
And however you do, your app
Right.
kind of does things that correspond with how well you did. Now, I haven't noticed anybody doing anything with the app. Is that not working yet?
I was thinking the same thing, but you know what? People are too mesmerized by the land to be taking their phone out and doing these things.
Yeah.
So this is going to be like your, 10th visit where you actually start doing like things on the app.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, this land is so immersive. And there is little details around every corner that you can either walk past, or if you're a huge Star Wars fan, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they put this here. There's like Luke's speeder from, the original
I
Star
saw
Wars
that.
film.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things.
It's sort of
presenting
bolted
so
to
many
the wall
films.
behind it, so it kind of
Yeah.
looks like it's hovering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many details that they put in here to really attract any sort of level of Star Wars fan that you are.
yeah.
And whether you like the newer movies or the older films, anybody can enjoy this land. And I just think they just did such a great job. I mean, this is the most immersive land that Disney has ever built.
Well, there you have it, folks. It's Ruthie approved.
Yes. Just wait till you hear when I'm actually walking around. I'm probably going to have tissues with me, but I'm going to be like in another world, literally and figuratively.
A whole new world. Well, on that note, that's the end of our very first Down the Rabbit Hole episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and look forward to coming back in July, and we have a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about some of the recent things that Disney has been editing out of its movies and parks, like the redhead scene, the Siamese cat scene, and the upcoming live-action Lady and the Tramp, and some of the other past things like the controversy behind Song of the South. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get a little heated in our opinions on the PC culture wave that has recently, and not just recently, but over the past several years, sort of been purveying over Disney. So we'll get into it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you can look forward to our second episode on that topic coming in July. So, any final words, Ruthie?
Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you liked it.
Here's my final words. Beep, 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 beep. That's my R2D2 impression.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.